Why can a person who was once considered family become an enemy? How can one unexpected gesture change fate? And what terrible crimes against their own children are fathers, hiding from the law, capable of? In just a few moments, I will show you footage recorded on police dashcams. I warn you right away, these recordings are not for the faint-hearted. Continue watching at your own risk. So are you ready to peer into the darkness? Then watch closely. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Murder of the Bertelsen Family. The first video recording for today was published thanks to the laws of the state of Utah. I do not envy the police officers who made this recording. They witnessed a sight that was far from pleasant to the eyes. Moreover, it came to a shooting. But let's take it step by step. Let's head to West Valley City, Utah. The police receive a distress call. On the other end of the line, there is silence, then strange sounds. The dispatcher cannot make out the words, but something is clearly wrong. A unit is immediately dispatched to the scene. The house looks ordinary, but inside is a nightmarish scene. The police enter and immediately smell blood. There is movement in the basement. They go downstairs. The door opens with a crack. "Show your hands!" A shout is heard. But the man kneeling does not respond. In his hands is a knife. The blade rises and falls again, biting into the lifeless body. Bloodied hands. A wild look. This is Eric Bertelsen, 35 years old. And on the floor are his parents, but Terry, 63 years old, and Kerry, 67. They are no longer breathing. "Drop the weapon," the officers demand. But Bertelsen does not stop. The blade descends again. 2 shots ring out. The man falls backward. The police surround him, aiming their weapons. "He's moving! Drop the knife right now!" warns one of the officers. "I don't want to shoot you again, buddy." A few seconds pass. Bertelsen no longer resists. A tense silence. The police gradually realize it's all over. Someone is breathing heavily. "Take a deep breath," one of the officers says to his colleague. "Breathe." Later, the police will confirm. A few days ago, they had already visited this house. The victim's relatives suspected that Eric might pose a danger. His behavior was becoming increasingly alarming. A call to social services yielded nothing. 4 days after the check, a bloody outcome. Could the tragedy have been prevented? Yes, of course it could have been. But the authorities missed all opportunities, and the police had to deal with the consequences. Let's move on to the next recording. Chapter 2. Shooting in the Nursing Home. December 1st, 2024. A regular day in the nursing home turns into a complete nightmare. A call to the police comes from a person armed with a chainsaw. The police officer arrives at the scene and immediately turns on his body camera. He is holding a taser. In front of him is a man standing in the doorway of the dining room, with frightened residents behind him. The officer demands that he drop the chainsaw, but in response the engine roars. The chainsaw comes to life. In a split second, the police officer pulls the trigger. The charge hits the chest. The man falls to the floor. Silence, but only for a moment. He gets up, his fingers gripping the chainsaw again. The blade rises up. The officer retreats into the lobby. A second police officer joins him. They run back into the cafeteria. A third officer enters through the side door. At that moment, the attacker lunges at him. The blade flashes in the air. The police officer fires. 2 shots. Both miss. The chainsaw plunges into his body. The impact throws it aside. All of this is still being recorded by the body camera. Another officer opens fire. The bullet pierces the attacker's arm. The second shot hits the chest. The man falls to the floor. Handcuffs click onto his wrists. It's all over. The criminal dies in the hospital on December 21st. Forensic experts find traces of methamphetamine in his blood. Death against the backdrop of intoxication. "First of all, I want to thank the St. Charles police officers for their actions," says local police chief Mossa. "They tried to de-escalate the situation until the very end. The investigation is already complete. The officers were found to have acted within the law. The main evidence was a body camera recording." And what do you think about this situation? Did the police have a chance to resolve the situation without shooting? Chapter 3. Assault on a female police officer. Now I will show you a video that did not foreshadow any trouble. 2 female police officers are heading to North Hakima, a small town near Lincoln. They do not yet know that ahead lies something far more dangerous than it seems at first glance. Literally a second after arrival, the situation spirals out of control. A man jumps out of the shadows. Without warning, he lunges at the officers. He pushes one of them into a fence. The second doesn't have time to react and is knocked to the ground. Blows rain down on her, one after another. Get off, shouts the attacker. His voice is full of rage. He grabs her by the hair, forcefully pinning her to the ground. The woman tries to break free but lacks the strength. Footage from the police camera shows her struggling desperately, but the man proves to be stronger. Her scream rings out in the air. "Get down right now!" Her partner regains composure and pulls out a pepper spray. Her hand trembles, but she directs the spray straight into the attacker's face. He howls, but does not release his victim. At this moment, another police officer shouts into the radio, calling for backup. Her voice is full of panic. The man still does not give up. He lunges at the policewoman, pins her down, and strikes her. Her face contorts with pain. Voices can be heard over the radio. Reinforcements are already on the way. The officer continues to fight, clinging to every second, trying to stay conscious. A moment later, sirens are heard. The attacker falls silent, realizing he has no more time. He drops the officer and tries to escape, but it's already too late. The police apprehend him on the spot. This incident caused a wide public outcry. Now, the law on attacks against emergency service workers allows for harsher penalties for such crimes. But what is the law when life is at stake? When every shift could be the last? Chief Constable Bill Skelly reminded everyone that police officers are not just officers, they are also people. Mothers, fathers, sons, and daughters. And when they go to work, they take risks. The attacker was sentenced to 12 months of community service and a fine of £100. £100 for something that could have cost a life. But this time, the officers survived. That means they will go back on duty again, no matter what. Chapter 4. Conflict with a police officer. Oklahoma City. A routine document check turns into a tragedy. The footage from the police camera shows the officer approaching a silver car. Behind the wheel is an elderly man, Lich Vu, 70 years old. He has just been involved in a minor accident. Is he at fault? He is sure that he is not. But the officer issues a fine. Lich is confused. "I didn't make a U-turn," he says firmly. The police officer doesn't argue. He just continues filling out the paperwork. He is not concerned with the explanations. A few minutes later, Lich gets out of the car. He points to the intersection, showing how everything happened. He tries to explain, but the officer remains adamant. Arguing is pointless. He doesn't want to listen. "We won't argue about this," a cold voice sounds, but Lich doesn't agree. The man is obviously hot-tempered and gradually escalates the situation. The police officer warns him if he doesn't sign the report, he will be arrested. Lich just smirks. "Yes, I'll go to jail. I'm ready to go to jail," he replies. At this moment, the officer steps away to talk to another driver. Lich remains standing next to his wife. She tries to calm him down, but the man doesn't even want to listen to her. A moment later, the police officer returns. Lich's wife starts explaining the situation again. Lich is nervous. He waves his hand, abruptly touches the officer's chest, and throws a short, "Shut up!" The next second will change his life forever. The police officer acts instantly. He grabs Lich. With a sharp move, throws him to the ground. The elderly man doesn't have time to brace himself. His body hits the hard asphalt. Now, his arms are twisted behind his back. Screams. His wife is in panic. An ambulance is called. At the hospital, the man is diagnosed with a brain hemorrhage and a broken neck. For several days, Lich is in critical condition. His daughter, Teresa Wu, posts photos of her father on social media. A neck brace, wires from the machines. She demands explanations. "This is not how you treat a person weighing 115 pounds who has bone cancer," she writes. She is convinced the officer's cruelty was unjustified. The Oklahoma City police made an official statement. They claim Lich resisted himself. He hit the officer and fell during the arrest. But an investigation has still been initiated. The officer has been suspended. Is this justice? Or another case of excessive use of force? There are no answers yet. But there is a fact. One reckless gesture, and Lich Vu's life will never be the same again. Chapter 5. The chase for an illegal. In this video, Officer Alexandria Duncan is racing down the southbound lane of the I-49 interstate highway. In front of her, a car speeding at 114 miles per hour. The driver ignores the signals to stop. The chase continues. After a minute and a half, the car suddenly brakes at the roadside. Duncan exits the patrol car and approaches the violator. Inside, the 26-year-old man, Angel Zeped Alvarado, a Guatemalan, is in the country illegally. The officer orders him to get out, but there is silence in response. Duncan opens the door and reaches for the keys, and at that moment, everything gets out of control. Zeped Alvarado grabs her hand. A struggle ensues in the confined space of the car. In a panic, Duncan pulls out a taser. A jolt. The man screams, jerks, but instead of complying, he snatches the weapon from the officer's hands and throws it right onto the roadway. Passing vehicles do not stop. 70 cars speed by, not noticing that something was happening on the side of the road. Terrible is happening. Officer Duncan receives several blows to the head. Zeped Alvarado tries to break free. At this moment, Kylie Sutton, an ordinary girl, a random driver, appears. She stops her car, runs onto the road, grabs a taser, and without hesitation, jumps onto the suspect's back. Duncan seizes the moment. She draws her gun, takes aim. A shot. The bullet only grazes the offender's head, but it's enough for him to loosen his grip. Zeped Alvarado falls. The officer immediately puts on handcuffs. Later, the police will find out his blood alcohol level is twice the legal limit. His lawyer will claim the man did not have a weapon and the use of force was unnecessary, was unjustified, but the authorities in the state of Arkansas will consider the officer's actions lawful. 2 people, 2 women. One is a police officer who was simply doing her duty. The other is an ordinary citizen who couldn't stand by. It was their determination that prevented the criminal from escaping. Angel Zepeda Alvarado is detained, awaiting trial. And Duncan, she will continue to patrol the roads, ready to face the unknown again. And once more, do everything possible to maintain order. Chapter 6. Another incident. In a nursing home. Late evening. The silence of a nursing home in Michigan is shattered by the crash of broken glass. Into the room where a centenarian woman is resting, a wild deer bursts in. The animal is in a panic. It dashes around the dwelling, overturning furniture. Bloody tracks on the floor are evidence that the beast is already wounded, but it cannot find a way out. The staff calls the police. Within a few minutes, officers Luke Bradley and Ryan Martin enter the building, cautiously approaching the room. In the living room, they see a distressed deer. It stands by the glass door leading to the courtyard. Its breathing is heavy, eyes feverishly gleaming. Suddenly, the deer makes a sharp dash, runs, and crashes into the glass with great force. But it doesn't give way. The animal retreats and crashes into the barrier again. The panic intensifies. At any moment, the situation could spiral out of control. The police officers make a decision. One of the officers raises the baton. A strong blow, and the glass shatters into pieces. The deer immediately rushes outside. In an instant, its silhouette disappears into the darkness of the forest. The officers inspect the premises. In the back of the room, a victim lies on the bed. She is conscious but shocked. The woman is immediately taken to the hospital. Fortunately, her life is not in danger. Such situations can happen to anyone. For one moment, and a quiet nursing home turns into a place of chaos, and only one question remains. How could this even happen? Chapter 7. The chase for the inadequate. Night. Highway in Ohio. The loud roar of the engine shatters the silence. A black SUV at full speed is escaping the chase with patrol. Cars following with sirens blaring. But in the next second, something unthinkable happens. From the window of the speeding car, a car seat flies out. It falls onto the roadside and flips over several times. The police officer who saw this brakes sharply. Inside the seat is a child, very small, and he is not moving. A few minutes before, the officers noticed the suspect, Zachary Chervenka, in the Walmart parking lot. He was sitting in the car and waiting. When the police officers got closer, he took off. A chase began. Inside the car, besides the driver, there were 2 children. After the ejection of the infant, the police officers decide to stop the pursuit. They rush to where the child is lying, the one who was thrown on the roadside like an unwanted item. Soon, the officers bring the child's mother to the scene. She runs out of the car, shouting, calling for her son. The car seat is on the ground. The woman picks it up, grabs the child. He is cold, but alive. She sobs, holds him close, rocks him, murmurs words full of fear and love. Later, Chervenka is apprehended. His record has a long list of crimes: assault, theft, car theft. Now another one is added, endangering the life of his own child. How could a father do such a thing? How could he throw out of the car the child he was supposed to protect? A question with no answer. But one thing is clear: human nature is incomprehensible and can take on the most horrifying forms. What do all these stories have in common? Cruelty, madness. So perhaps just the simple unpredictability of life. We watch videos, read the news, we discuss it in the comments. But can we really understand what those who found themselves at the epicenter of events felt? We often say that will never happen to me. But the truth is that no one is immune. One wrong step, one accidental encounter, and life turns in an unpredictable direction. That's why it's so important to be attentive, to see a little more, to hear a little sharper, to react a little faster. And most importantly, to remember that any of us can find ourselves in the place of a victim or a witness. Let's hope that we never have to choose who to become. But if that moment does come, the main thing is to make the right choice. And what do you think? Write your opinion in the comments. And remember, life is not only a series of coincidences, but also the result of our decisions. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. See you in the next video.